Evil Zubat Cave by Wild-Glade. I had gotten every Pokémon game since I was about 9. I have always loved them, and always will, but I was really excited since Red, Yellow, Blue was about to come out in England. Me and my friends were discussing what these Pokemans, as we called them, are like. All we had to go on were the silhouettes on TV. One looked like a dragon, the other a weird dinosaur, and the third a turtle. I wanted to get the dragon-like one. So when the day of release came, I bought Pokémon Red from my local game shop. I was so excited, the first ever Pokémon game was in my warm hands. I began reading the box. Gotta catch 'em all! You can finally start your journey to become the greatest Pokémon trainer of all time. 150 Pokémon await you in the enormous world of Pokémon. You gotta catch 'em all. When I got home, I opened the box. I extracted the cartridge from the card protecting it. Closely examining the cartridge, I noticed the gold Nintendo sticker. Yep, this game is 100% legit. I inserted the new cartridge into my Game Boy and flicked the power on. I was really excited. I pressed start and selected new game. I entered my name, Joel, then my rival's name, Ash. After 5 minutes, I received my first Pokemon, a Charmander. I nicknamed him Dragon, because that is what he would evolve into. I flew through the game. I had defeated the third gym leader in no less than 3 hours. By the time I had got to Gym 4, Dragon was level 67 Charizard. I kicked ass with my not-so-little Pixel pal here. In under a day, I had completed the storyline, and now I began capturing all the Pokemon. I had every Pokemon in under a week, and in a month, I had all Pokemon at level 100. Several years later, I had just purchased a copy of Pokémon Platinum and completed it in a month. Again. But I still had a yearning for that Pokémon nostalgia, so I dug the game out of my drawers and inserted it into my really old handheld. I turned it on and the startup was normal, but when I selected continue, something really weird happened. I was transported to a cave of some sorts. When I walked, a Pokémon appeared. Zubat. Charizard used Flamethrower on it, and it fainted. Then, when it appeared again, and had a slightly blacker color, I used Bite on it. Fainted. Then, I walked a few steps and found a sign. It read, "You have fought me so many times, why not fight me a few more times?" Then I remembered, I used to kill Zubats to level my dragon up. Next step I took, Zubat appeared. But not only was he blackened, he had part of a wing missing. Charizard used Mega Punch, and the Zubat fainted. A few steps later, he was there, but with massive green bruise marks on him. I tried to run, and he said, "You cannot run, hit me, harder." I used Hyper Beam on him, and he fainted. The next time I encountered him, he had a hole through his body. I tried to run again, but it said, "No." I clicked run again. "You must kill me." Run. You cannot avoid what is destined. Reluctantly, I used Flamethrower on him. It then said, the wild Zubat died. I never knew Pokemon could die. But as I set off to the north, the Lavender Town music began playing in reverse, and getting slower and deeper. By the time I was practically stopped, I found an exit. I went through and the screen flashed white, then black. Next, I found a new Pokemon in my party. It was level 0 and was named question mark. It had the move Flash. I used it and found myself in an area, black and white, where I was surrounded by gravestones. I pressed A up against one, and it said, "Here lies the Zubat that Joel killed." Then the battle music started again, and this half a Zubat with blackened skin. It said Zubat wants revenge this time. The Zubat was level 123 with 4,321 health. I used Flamethrower and it knocked 14 off its HP. Then Zubat used Hydro Pump and knocked my health down to 0. Dragon had never fainted before, and instead of the usual insert Pokemon here has fainted, it said Zubat killed Dragon. I cursed at those pixels. The battle was over and it returned to the overworld. The grave now said, "Here lies the Zubat, peaceful as ever." So I went back through the cave where I went through. The Killer Zubat Cave. and found a sprite where the sign was. I pressed A up against it, and it said, Dragon's Body. The tail is not on fire. He has no pulse. Your Pokémon is dead. I started to cry about this, and speedily returned to Professor Oak's lab. I pressed A against him, and he said, You let your Pokémon die. Your first ever Pokémon. How disrespectful. Now you must die too. Then the screen went black with 2 white words. Game over. That was Evil Zubat Cave. Final thoughts? My god. I'm just gonna read the list of my favorite stupid things that happened in the order I took note of. The Pokemans thing is just a nod to the internet that you probably wouldn't have been on in 1998. That line doesn't need to be there. The line about the golden Nintendo sticker was only put in because so many stories use hacked cartridges. Don't call attention to it, it just makes your story less believable. No person would actually take out the cart in 1998 and check for the sticker. Just continue with the story. He's bragging about beating the game in a day, catching every Pokemon in a week, and maxing the level on every Pokemon in a month. This is completely impossible for many reasons, but the biggest one being that you can't catch every Pokemon in Pokemon Red without having friends to trade with. You can only pick one of the 3 starters, and just like every other generation of Pokemon, they're Pokemon that are exclusive to specific versions of the game. This is just pointless bragging in a fake story. This is just wasting our time. I never knew Pokemon could die. If I took a shot every time I heard that generic, but Pokemon don't die in a Pokemon game, cliché line, my liver would stop functioning. And how did he know that the Zubat had 4,321 health? You can't check the opponent's health. This is one of the most generic and lazy stories we've ever had on the show. Good riddance. That's it for this Creepypasta and the 5th day of the 3rd 7 Days of Creepypasta special. Tune in again tomorrow when we tackle another highly requested story with white noise. If you want to write your own story, help peer edit a story, or even just read the stories early, check out the description where you'll find a link to the Creepypasta section of my forum. You'll also find a link to the playlist of every Creepypasta reading I've done. If you're interested in keeping up on my blog posts, join the Facebook fan page linked below. Remember that if you want your story to be read on the show, you must stay active on your post in the forum, as well as read the forum rules. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, sweet dreams.